Hey guys, it's Mothman Studios, and today I'm going to be talking about like when they take live action characters, or when they take characters from like animated adaptations of like Star Wars specifically, and put them in live action, and how that typically goes. So with the release of Kenobi, there's been like a lot of controversy, or no, actually. There's been like a little bit of controversy, but for the most part, I have not heard many people talking about this, and it gets under my skin just a little bit because some of it just doesn't look like some of the character design isn't like adequate. It just doesn't look it doesn't look right. That's just my opinion though. So I'll talk about like some of the characters that they brought into live action, and then I'll refute some arguments that I've heard surrounding it. So there are some characters like Boba Fett, General Grievous, and Saw Gerrera that were all from animation and then brought into live action. Boba Fett was from the holiday special, but he's not that similar, and I have not seen the holiday special. I've just seen like the cartoon bits of it. Actually, no. I watched a little bit of the holiday special, and I do not recommend anyone does that. He's not, I don't remember how similar he was, but I mean, it's the holiday special. How many people are watching that, General Grievous was a beast in the original Clone Wars, and he was not as much of a beast in 2005's Revenge of the Sith, and Saw Gerrera was pretty much the same. He was older, more war-torn, and pretty much self-destructed at that point. So those are the three that I think are fine. Those are the early ones, I guess. Well, actually, never mind. No, there's a span of like 10-ish years. Never mind. No, it's not. It's a gaffe. It's not. It's pretty much from like Empire Strikes Back to Rogue One that takes place. So those are movies. That's my point one, is that those are movies. They're bringing them into movies, and it's going to look better because it's not a TV show. And I mean, what's the difference? It's because a TV show, at least I'm not entirely sure on this, but I don't think that a TV show is going to have the same budget as a movie is. I don't know if that's true. You can fact check me on that. I don't know if it's true. But from what it looks like, it doesn't seem as if they have the same budget as like the big Star Wars movies that release in theaters, So with The Mandalorian, they brought Ahsoka into live action, and for the most part, I'd say Ahsoka looked pretty good. They got like I don't know anything about like the character, this character species, biology or whatever, but like the head tentacle thingies were like not right. They're supposed to be like longer with age, and they got them wrong. And I mean, that is kind of weird. And I'd say, you'd ask, how did they get that wrong? I don't know. I'll let that one slide, because it's not like they got the character completely wrong. I kind of wish that they had gotten Ashley Eckstein, the girl who like voiced her for like a long time, to play her in live action, but it's not that bad. Overall, Mandalorian's pretty good. Then there's Cad Bane, and this one was more controversial because a lot of people, this was the one that like I heard about way more, and it was that Cad Bane looked so bad, and people would say, well, it's because he's older, and because he was 60 in the Clone Wars, and this is after Return of the Jedi, so he's like probably in his 80s or nearly his 80s, and I'll say that's a fair assessment, but I mean, overall his mouth was in the right place. Like, his mouth was supposed to be closer to his chin, and his face seemed to like just a little bit fat. So unless Cad Bane let himself go and started drinking a lot of that Jawa juice, I don't think that, I just think that they got it wrong a little bit. And I've seen some like people who did like After Effects on it to make it look better, but they make it too close to the Clone Wars. So I'd say it's okay, but I mean, as like a first attempt, because this is like the first time they've done Cad Bane specifically, and I think Any Duros, his species, in live action. They did something similar in A New Hope, but I don't think it was the same one. I think it was like a subspecies or whatever. I don't know the lore. Then there's the bigger one, which this one makes me laugh. I love this one because there's the Grand Inquisitor. And the Grand Inquisitor, he's like this dude, he's got a pale head, and it's supposed to be like a big, egg-shaped head, he's a pawn or something like that. And we've seen him in animation, and now they're bringing him to live action, right? And he doesn't look right. His face is all gray, which it should, actually the face is all gray, that's fine. His head is not, not big enough, and they're not like the lines. He has like lines in his skin. They didn't get either of those details right, which it ends up looking a little bit odd. And here's argument number 2 that I will refute, which is where some people will say, well, look at Count Dooku from the Clone Wars. He looked ridiculous. Look at Anakin from the Clone Wars. He had like the most Chad chin of all time, but Hayden Christensen didn't have that. And that's because that's the animation style for humans. They did different styles for different species. So with, and actually that doesn't really apply to this one. It just applies in general. So people would take photos and they'd make like Count Dooku from like the live action look like the animated series and say, it doesn't work, your argument is inefficient, because animation or whatever is different. And my counterpoint is that it doesn't always. With the human characters, they looked different, but the alien species did not, which is primarily what they're getting wrong, not human characters. And with the Grand Inquisitor, we've seen his species in live action before. Tion Medin, the dude of political power from Revenge of the Sith, who talked to Obi-Wan, when he's on Oedipal. We've seen his species before, and yet somehow they still got it wrong. And I don't think that's like, it looks tacky, And then when it takes you out of the experience, And the last character that I'm bringing up is the fifth brother. Now, they didn't get the same guy, but after seeing, and I don't know his name, but the guy who played him in live action, after seeing some clips from Kenobi of him, doing his thing, I have no doubt that this guy would play, or is playing, a great fifth brother. So the actor change doesn't really bother me. But they didn't put any effort into making his character look like he did from Rebels, And I feel like if they can do a character like Darth Maul, in live action, before they had a design and animation, then they can absolutely do something like this guy's character, because his face is silver, it's got some lines in it, he has the lines, but they painted his face gray, not silver, And I don't mean chrome silver, just sort of like a greenish silver color, and he's supposed to have these light eyes, like glowing almost eyes and sharp teeth. He was a very intimidating looking character, but instead he's got dark eyes and a light gray face, and the lines are barely visible, the pattern in his face. And I don't know if he has sharp teeth or not. I'm not really looking at the dude's mouth when he talks, but I don't know if he does. I don't think he does. So, with all that said, I don't think they're... Oh, and one more. The Twi'leks from Mandalorian and, other TV shows, I guess, Book of Boba, their, Leku is not like it is in the movies. In, the movies, it, moves almost like hair, and in The Mandalorian, it does not. It is almost as sturdy as my lamp. So, it just looks like fan film quality at some points, and I don't think that that's really the standard for a big company like Disney or Lucasfilm. I don't think that it looks great. I think that The Mandalorian's a great show. I think the Book of Boba Fett's a controversial show. And I think that Kenobi so far has been very controversial. But I'm not talking about those shows. Overall, I don't think that they're really caring about whether or not these characters look good. It doesn't seem as if they care for that. Set design and weapon design and Everything else is top notch. It looks great, but it just, like, the characters who are, you know, the center of everything, you know, occasionally just don't look good, you know. And for, like, today's, I guess, like, standards, the standards that they set, like, if you watch Rogue One and you see someone like the big Bigfoot guy, like, with the backpack that they teased heavily would have a role in the movie, and he's just on screen for 2 seconds, like, that was so unnecessary, but he looked awesome, you know? Like, if he had looked crappy, it wouldn't really mess with the movie because he's on screen for 2 seconds. But then you have a character, you know, who is on screen for more than 2 seconds, who looks crappy. And I think that that takes away from the overall quality of, not the story, but the show itself. So, I just think that they need to be putting more effort into these things, you know. I don't care if they get the actor who played them from the animated series or not. I just think that if they nail the look and they nail the characters' behavior, then it's fine, but it doesn't seem as if they're really caring how these characters look. It just seems like they're just doing whatever, you know, without caring or thinking twice. You know, but at the end of the day, they're more concerned with making money than anything. If you disagree with me, that's fine. I want to hear from you in the comments below, whether you think that characters, you know, looking different, I'll be fair and say they look different from how they look in the animated series. If you think that I'm, you know, if I'm out of line, then tell me about it, and I will hopefully respond to your comment, or, you know, have some engagement. I like engagement in the comments. So, yeah. Hope you enjoyed this video of my little rant. It's not a rant. I'm actually not angry. I'm actually very, like, chill right now. So, yeah. Thank you for watching, and always remember, I don't have an outro.